A lot of actors think that they're in a baseball game and they're supposed to hit a home run every time. But acting isn't hitting home runs out of the park. Acting is a tennis game. If you hit that ball out of the court, you have no game. Oh my God, we had a great time, 1970, you can only imagine. We were all staying the same motel there in Wichita Falls. And there was one day when Jeff and I, we were just out, there was a field in the back of Wichita Falls with tall grass and stuff like that. We were kind of rolling around, and then all of a sudden, a bug crawled in my ear. And if you've never had a bug in your ear, it feels like somebody is exploding dynamite inside your head. And I jumped up. I said, oh my God, get it out, get it out. And Jeff went over and he put his hand there, and the bug came out onto his hand, and it was a ladybug. And then it flew off. And I'll never forget that moment. Ladybugs would become a talisman for me in a lot of ways. The striving towards ease of the acting in picture show, the naturalness of it, and was something that every actor that was cast was just brilliant at. It was like Timothy and Jeff. I felt as if I had known them and grown up and gone to high school with them forever. With Jeff, we had love scenes that were very funny, and there was nudity involved, which is a rare combination of a love scene with nudity being funny. And both Jeff and I were very, very funny. Well, I know that there were several nude scenes that were written in the script. And when I first interviewed with Peter, he said, don't worry about that. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to. I also read with Jeff and Timothy Bottoms, and we had great chemistry together. When it came time for us to do the nude scenes, I went to Eileen, Ellen, and Cloris, separate, and said, if you were me with this director in this film, would you do the nude scenes? Would you trust the director? And they said, absolutely. They said, because they felt it was not a sensationalistic film, that Peter had great integrity, that this would be a great movie. Ellen, in the last picture show, all the women are of this age that may be a little younger than where I am right now. We're very scary to people. We're old enough, but we're still juicy, we're still sexual beings, and people I'm like in between the age. I'm gonna get my great parts once I get old and dried up looking or something. But with the last picture show, we had 3 women of this age that were all still sexy and juicy, not just as mothers, the flirting between Eileen Brennan and Timothy Bottoms, the great Ellen Burstyn being the mother but still the lover, having her lover, and then having her daughter, my character, be a lover with her lover. That was Peter did an amazing thing by putting back that almost 8 minutes of footage back into this last director's cut. One scene is a scene where Jeff and Timothy and I are singing our high school song in a convertible, driving along the street. And another scene is my character JC's seduction scene on the pool table, which for the first time to me made the character make sense, because then you understand why she's so distraught when she comes back. As I was standing off stage, first scene that you see me, my introduction in the film, Peter came up because Jeff was out of town, whispered in my ear, I don't know who I want to sleep with more, you or JC. And then they roll camera and he said action. So when I come into that, I come in from the very front of the theater by the screen all the way up into a close-up, what y'all doing back here in the dark? I had this special look of something. Well, definitely Peter knows exactly what he wants from his actors in each scene, but he is also a great presider over accidents. As Orson Welles once said, great directors are. So he's open to the little quirks and things that happen, they delight him, and that makes it thrilling, to work with him. And I think that picture, everyone in it is so good, it would have been hard to be bad. It was interesting, we didn't do very many takes, matter of fact. I think we only did a couple. In that way, and it was true, certainly a picture show. Peter doesn't do extra takes. He doesn't have to, he cuts in his head, he cuts in the camera. And I know that great scene with Cloris Leachman. She won the Oscar. He only did one take, and she wanted to do more. He said no, and she won the Oscar. Well, I think with Peter Bogdanovich, because of his study of film growing up, even though he was very young, on Picture Show, he knew so much about films. He had experienced all the great films, interviewed all the great directors. He was, yeah, it was his second film, but it's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
I was living with Peter, and I grew up with Peter cutting The Last Picture Show. Every single, I mean, he didn't have an editor. He was holding the film between his hands, and I was learning about montage and editing and what it meant to add three frames at the beginning and cut out 3 at the end, and how that affected that film as a visual music. But I could see that this was an extraordinary movie. But of course, we opened the first New York Film Festival, and I was there with Peter, and the laughs and the tears. It was, I mean, we all knew it was good, but to have this kind of reaction. And still, to this day, people come up to me. It's one of the most common things they say is my first film, The Last Picture Show. Who were we back then? You know, I look at us so young, and I almost don't know who I am. It's like, it's a growing up and being famous for this long, as of course Jeff has. You have this, you're dragging along all these parts from when you were so young. Nobody can fake your age. You're going to see all our work. You're going to see us grow up in front of the camera, see us start to because we're the same age, we both are 60 now. You have reached that point of your life where you really know that it's not going to last forever. Death is out there. You don't know when. Everything becomes more precious. That's why to see this kind of performance in Crazy Heart by Jeff is like this extraordinary gift to the world. And thank God everybody recognized it, you know. He is a true original. You know, it's so amazing he's playing this part that John Wayne made famous in True Grit, because there's never been an actor like him. He's right up there with John Wayne, Montgomery Clift, all the great actors with a very unique style. He never, ever overdoes it. He is, often people will say, well, De Niro is a master of underplaying things. Well, yes, but I think Jeff Bridges is the ultimate master of playing it real and underplaying it, which makes it so easy to play off of him. And in that scene in The Last Picture Show where he's doing these very subtle things that are hysterical, but the thing is it's so real. It's not played broad, it's playing very simply. It was very difficult for me not to laugh. Very, very, very difficult, because it was funny. But there's also the thing about Jeff is he's got this, whatever, if it's funny, if it's moving, he's found this middle ground where he's playing it all real. And that's extremely rare. A lot of actors think that they're in a baseball game and they're supposed to hit a home run every time. But acting isn't hitting home runs out of the park. Acting is a tennis game. If you hit that ball out of the court, you have no game. When he was observed on the set, Gary Cooper looked as if he was doing nothing. He knew how to play it, he was doing only what was absolutely necessary, and doing it in a way that was not showing off. And I would say that's true about Jeff. Probably sometimes if you saw him on the set, you wouldn't realize till you see him on the film, the nuances of what he does. Hitchcock said, don't put a lot of scribble on your face. And I would say that Jeff is an excellent example of that. He inhabits the roles. I also think he's one of the kindest and most humble actors I've ever worked with. He only comes in with the desire to find this character and explore and have this character bloom in a way, and it's always unique. And it is very, very American. On some level, actors, we're all kind of, even though we're playing different characters, there's some character or some persona within us that we're always carrying with us. And I think it endows us with the ability to not have to indicate and not work so hard to let the audience know we're working. And that's my favorite kind of acting, where you'll say about the actor, wait a minute, is he acting or is he just being himself? And to me, that sums up a great actor, and particularly Jeff Bridges, because you don't really see him indicating. He just appears as if he is that character. He is so innately brings himself to it and his integrity. Crazy Heart was such an incredible film. I tell you, when he won the Oscar, it was like I had won it. And
I think a lot of people in the room felt that way, because boy, that whole room was on its feet in 1 second.
Well, I don't know that anybody else felt particularly the way I felt with Jeff, because we started out together as like we were playing teenagers. We were 20, we're the same age. And there's a really special feeling for someone that you kind of grew up. You had this first experience with that we had no idea this film was going to be one of the great films of all time. I mean, there's some part of me that will always feel as if that I'll always be Jeff Bridges' first sweetheart. And that, to some extent, forgive me for sounding so pompous, but that we managed to achieve a kind of youthful immortality that will never fade.